We can speak now to Cenk Uygur, who joins us from Los Angeles. Many thanks in particular because, of course, you're not on our time zone because you're not here and have stayed up late for us. Good evening to you there. Good morning from London. Can you tell us when and how exactly you learnt about this decision from the UK Home Office?
Yeah, I went to the airport. I had an ETA left over from last year because I had come and spoken at London and Oxford last year, and so we were going to do it again. And they told me that I'd been rejected by the British government, which I didn't quite understand. Literally, I thought maybe it was a bureaucratic snafu. And then 15 minutes later, the Times piece came out saying that I'd been banned, basically for criticizing Israel, which I thought to be curious since I wasn't going to Israel.
Do you think it's legitimate for a sovereign nation to make decisions like this, even if the explanation behind that decision is questionable?
Well, look, of course, a sovereign country can make any decision it likes. So the Russians can decide to invade Ukraine. The Chinese can decide to put people in concentration camps. Or you could decide to do anything you want. But the question is, what should you do, especially a country like the United Kingdom, which is the home of freedom in a lot of ways, the home of the Magna Carta and Western civilization in a lot of ways. And does this look like freedom? And I have the same opinions on this issue that probably a great majority of British citizens have. So what's next? Are we going to take their freedom away next? You could have any kind of government you want, but it's up to the British citizens to decide what that government is, because you still live nominally for now in a democracy.
As I mentioned in the intro, you know, the explanation for why an ETA can be revoked is on the grounds that your presence might not be conducive to the public good. I mean, what do you say to that?
Okay, it's both a little bit haunting and hilarious at the same time. So if I step out in London streets, is mayhem going to break out? This is absurd. I was in London and Oxford, as I said, last year, and I don't remember riots breaking out. And you should know what my real views are. I'm for nonviolence, period. We're a peace movement. We hate the idea of any civilians being harmed under any circumstance. I'm on the left. My governing philosophy is that everyone is equal. Race and religion don't matter at all. And I'm an atheist, so I believe we're all Homo sapiens. The idea that someone's religion or race would make a difference, I find to be hilarious. So I don't really know what I'm being charged with here. And am I really not going to be allowed in Britain from now on? And how could someone who is almost religiously for nonviolence be a threat to the public order?
Clearly, a few days have passed since the decision was made. And as you know, as you've discussed with a few other people, there is no official guidance from the government as to their justification for classifying your presence as perhaps not being conducive to the public good. Do you think it is down to your past views on Israel?
Oh, there's no question. Yeah, because they didn't give me any clear reasons why they gave the same public statement that you have there. And it's so vague that nobody knows what it means. But they did give a couple of reasons to the Times, to the reporter that they spoke. And one was about my views on grooming gangs, and they got that completely wrong. So they said that I didn't believe in them. But as Piers Morgan showed when I was on his program, it's on tape. I was on his show earlier, and I said, I definitely believe in them. And I believe they should be punished. So why is the British government lying about me? What a strange thing to do. And then the other one was, well, you have criticized Israel, but in the wrong kind of way. So I'm curious if the British government is ever going to list the acceptable and unacceptable ways of criticizing Israel, and if they have these standards for any other country. So do they have acceptable and unacceptable ways of criticizing Nicaragua? Or a country which is almost exactly the same population as Israel, Papua New Guinea. Is everybody obsessed with figuring out if someone has criticized Papua New Guinea and in an acceptable or an unacceptable way? And if it's unacceptable, does it disturb the public order in the United Kingdom? Obviously, this is Kafkaesque, it's Orwellian. And then the question is why? Why is your government, and by the way, also my government in America, so obsessed with this tiny little country and whether their feelings have been hurt as they're in the middle of doing a genocide and demanding that we all, British and American citizens, pay for that genocide? How about the feelings of the Palestinians or the Lebanese as they're being invaded by Israel right now, or Iran as they're being attacked by Israel right now? Are we not concerned about their feelings?
It's interesting because I think this kind of gets to the crux of it. I should say as well, genocide is an official term and it's not been formally established by the ICC.
It's a genocide.
But I stand by what I've just said. But can I just? But I think this gets to the crux of this really interesting decision, because you focus there on whether the government here might take similar decisions for other particular countries, but they have made other decisions for other particular issues. As I think a couple of weeks ago, there was a Unite the Kingdom rally, and 11 people were blocked from coming in ahead of that for, one could argue, the sort of opposite type of views, perhaps, that you might have been rightly or wrongly classed as holding yourself, from all sorts of people, Valentina Gomez to Joey Manorino to others as well. And I just bring that up because I think it does show potentially this isn't specifically about Israel. And the very fact that, as you pointed to, you've been here recently in this country, whilst you've held the same sorts of views for quite a long time. Does that make it much more about the UK changing and about free speech, which is a big issue, as opposed to specifically about Israel?
So I understand that it was done to others and for a variety of reasons, but there's two things about that. Number one, of course, is a threshold question of if that's how Britain wants to conduct itself, right? And that is ultimately up to the voters. And so for me, I was born Muslim. I know one of the good people that were banned is Valentina Gomez, and she's a very significant and admitted bigot. So on that one, even so, since I'm an American, I believe in free speech. I wouldn't say, without any restrictions. Of course, there's always some restrictions. But for people who are bigots, I'm not intimidated by them. So she'll make her absurd arguments about Islam, and then I'll make correct arguments about Islam. And so I'm not afraid of any of that debate or the marketplace of ideas. So I wouldn't have banned any of them. But then the second question is, why am I in the bucket with people who are admitted bigots or people who might have called for violence? I'm completely for nonviolence. I'm part of the peace movement, and that applies to every race, religion, and nation. And I believe bigotry is preposterous. So what's going on here? So no one else is put into that category for opposing a nation, and that's what's strange. And we all know it. It's not like if I asked you to guess, hey, which country gets special privileges in America and Britain? I don't think anyone's going to guess, oh, I got it, Bolivia, Malaysia, Guam. No, Guam's part of America. But no, obviously everyone would guess Israel because we all know it's Israel. So I don't know why others were banned. But I know why I was banned, and it was for criticizing.
Yeah. But look, I mean,
the all-powerful Israel.
Well, look, 11. I'm not saying you should be bracketed with other people, and I don't know, to be honest, what all of the 11 people banned a few weeks ago exactly have or haven't done. But there were 11 a few weeks ago. There were 2 this week. So I don't think it's fair to say it's completely that way. And look, who gets special treatment in this country? Our allies do. America gets special treatment. Members of the EU do. Israel is one of our allies, so, it gets treated better than others. But I think it's a leap to suggest it's just Israel, and I think that's highlighted by the 11 bans a few weeks ago and the 2 on this front. I don't think you would say, for example, that the person that made this decision, Shabana Mahmood, is, uniquely pro-Israel.
I don't know her, and if you think she's the only one involved in that decision, I actually know behind the scenes for a fact that that's not true. So there are a lot of people that make these decisions. There's a power structure in every country. And brother, you said, well, we've got a lot of allies and we treat them really well, and that makes sense to treat them better. And you even mentioned America as, of course, one of your top allies. Well, I'm an American. I'm an American citizen. Why am I being treated this way? So that doesn't make any sense at all. So your top ally, you're going to ban their citizens for opposing a different, much smaller ally. I don't even believe that Israel's an ally, but that's a political issue. Look, it's weird to ban people who are against a genocide, but allow people in that are pro-genocide. And then to say furthermore, the people who are anti-genocide are so, such a danger to the public order because they oppose a genocide and they have offended the feelings of the pro-genocide people. That is strange and not exactly moral.
Cenk, thanks so much for joining us. It's a really important debate, and we thank you for joining us so late in the day. We should say again, genocide is an official term. It's not been established yet by the ICC, who will rule on it in due course.